Hello there. Thanks for joining me for another exciting trip into the world of sports business. I'm your host, Jide Olano. On today's show, we will be looking at how to build sports business, sports broadcast business, especially with focus on the continent. And as usual, we've got our new segment, and also I have something to tell you. If you are traveling for the next World Cup, that's the FIFA World Cup that is taking place in Qatar in the next few days. Okay, yes, it's just few days, because before you know it, November, December will be here, and the World Cup will be all over our screens. So don't go away yet. Let me take this break, and when I return, I'll start with the news.
Fantastically finished.
Welcome back straight to the news. The biggest assemblage of sports industry professionals across Nigeria, with a view to unlocking the immense potential for sports business, will hold in Lagos in November. Sport Impact Africa is a two-day conference that will bring together thought leaders in the sports industry to explore the various commercial opportunities in the sports business value chain, discuss the power of sports as a tool for youth development initiatives, and showcase the huge potential of the African markets for sports retail business. And moving on, World Football Governing Body, with one of its sponsors, Budweiser, are putting together a fan experience activation for the FIFA World Cup, which will be held in Qatar. Cities like London, Mexico City, Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, Seoul, and Dubai will all host satellite events to complement the main FIFA Fan Festival in Doha's Al Bida Park, the main destination for fans who will be in Qatar. Budweiser, together with sister brands Corona and Brahma, which are non-alcoholic brands, will be available to fans at the Experiential Marketing Park. All sites will broadcast live matches, as well as featuring performances by popular international DJs, local musicians and artists, as well as appearances by FIFA legends. Some sites will showcase 4D immersive audio that will bring the sounds from the matches in Qatar to local events. Tottenham Hotspur and Google are in talks over a naming rights deal for the English top-flight soccer club stadium, according to The Athletic. Since moving into their UK £1 billion home in 2019, Spurs chairman Daniel Levy has taken his time in the search for a lucrative naming rights partner. The Telegraph reported in 2020 that the club had been hoping for a deal worth as much as £25 million per season over 15 years, equating to £375 million in total. Amazon and Nike were linked with a deal more than 2 years ago, though the impact of COVID-19 on the economy reportedly meant that the North London outfit needed to rethink its asking price. It is not clear if Google is prepared to meet Levy's original demands, or how far along the discussion are, but The Athletic has described the talks as meaningful. And still in football, Qatar Sports Investments has signed a share purchase agreement for a 21.67% stake in Portuguese top-flight soccer club SC Braga. The deal is expected to close in the next few months, subject to certain closing conditions. SC Braga finished fourth in the Premier League last season and are currently third in the table this campaign after 9 games. Qatar Sports Investments is best known as the owner of French soccer champions Paris Saint-Germain, and its other sporting outlays includes investing in the International Padel Federation to create new Premier Padel Tour. And now to Formula One. Red Bull Racing have been found guilty of breaching Formula One's financial rules. The International Automobile Federation finally confirmed that Red Bull, who last year carried Max Verstappen to a deeply controversial championship win over Lewis Hamilton, exceeded the sport's $145 million budget cap. Red Bull are in breach of overspending by less than 5%, which equates to $6.3 million, a so-called minor breach of the regulations. But the Sporting Federation did not provide an exact figure by how much the team failed to comply, although sources have indicated to newsmen that the number is no more than $2 million. And that's it for the news. We go on a break, and when I return, it will be time for the Dugout segments.
Fantastically finished.
Welcome back. Straight to we are now at the Dugout segment, okay? This is the Dugout segment, and we have to quickly get to our guest who is joining me all the way from South Africa. Yeah, he is a veteran sport broadcaster. Just a few days ago, I would say a few days ago, he was general manager South Africa Broadcast Corporation, SABC. He's been able to turn around the fortune of that particular sport broadcast company. Yeah, I must say. And now it's time for me to engage a veteran on the sports broadcast business. Gary Rathbone joins me on the Dugout segment. Gary, how are you doing? Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Jude, for having me on the show. Really nice to be here. And I'm doing fine.
Gary, I've heard so much about you, of course. We just, maybe I should let our viewers know a bit apart from the fact that you just signed off from the South Africa Broadcasting Corporation as the general manager of their sports channel. You also work in Super Sports at some point, Star Times, massive CV, I must say. And if you are one of the person one should be engaging as far as sports broadcast business is concerned on the continent of Africa. I just saw your parting shots via a press release, and something caught my attention, and which is you are moving on to a new chapter now. You just started your own business, Sportscape Media. I must say congratulations first, and something caught my attention in that press release, and it is the fact that the company in which you are starting now, the company will focus on connecting broadcasters, teams, sponsors, and sports media specialists across the African continent. I think this is long overdue. What do you mean by, what is that exactly, if you want to break it down?
Well, what I'm trying to do is that I've been in the business for like nearly 25 years, and I've built a very strong network at very many different levels in terms of the, administrators, sponsors, broadcasters, other people, journalists and media and things like that. And I think that there's a lot happening in the broadcast space at the moment, a lot of really interesting changes. And I think that people, we need to start getting different kinds of links together to prepare people for the changes that are happening, particularly around the digital and, over the top, the OTT propositions that are entering to the market, live streaming and things like that. So, I'm trying to sort of see if I want to be kind of there to enable people that want to know certain things or want to link what they're trying to do with other elements in the media space to try and make things happen and play a role in doing that. As I like to say, I want to get out there and start joining the dots to help people move in to a new digital reality that we're moving into as far as media broadcasting is concerned.
Thank you, Gary. As an African, doesn't it bother you that we just don't have enough players in that space? Talking about sport broadcast businesses. For example, we have some companies that seems to be, or some companies that seem to be monopolizing the industry. For example, you just have few of them. What do you think is wrong? We need to have more, because the more they say is the merrier.
Yeah, I think it is makes sense that you have more when there's opportunity and there's an environment that has bigger audiences and things like that. You know, in smaller countries, obviously the opportunities to have more doesn't necessarily play out that well. But I think that what needs to happen is that, you know, broadcasters, people that want to offer content to people, need to start looking at the changes that are coming, and they need to engage with that more. And I think one of the things of, you know, I'm going to the big annual sports event that takes place every year for the sports business, for sports broadcasting, sports media, is an event in Europe, in Monaco every year, called Sportel. And I was looking at the map of people, which country, you know, from countries around the world that were registered to attend Sportel. And there were only 3 countries in Africa that were actually sending people to attend this event. And it means that a lot of our broadcasters aren't really taking it seriously enough, the new challenges and the new opportunities, and finding out more and engaging the way that they want to kind of look at the opportunities that this new landscape is going to present.
I think that's a challenge, and I hope that people who are playing in that industry are listening. They will definitely listen to this interview or watch this interview. Let me bring you the last job. Your last job at the SABC, you were in charge of the free-to-air. Of course, we know that we have the free-to-air, we have the pay TV, which usually gives a paywall, makes paywall to content, and of course, now the disruption is happening with the over-the-top that is happening. Let's look at free-to-air sport broadcast now. What do you think is the future too? Before we even go to pay TV, what do you think is the future of free to air? Because you know how expensive some of this content could be.
Look, I think that you know, free to air, I think it's got an incredibly good future, mainly because the real key word there is free. And anything that's free, more and more people get, you know, it's easier to get audiences. I mean, we've seen the success in many ways, how free-to-air broadcasting should work. You know, it's unfortunately on our continent, we haven't done enough to make free-to-air broadcasters work, because the value of audiences is really important for advertisers. And I don't think that we've done as much as we should. If you look at broadcasters like, you know, in the US, for example, NBC, ABC, and the like, you look at the amount of money that they make for their sponsorships, that allows them to spend huge amounts of money on acquiring sports rights. You know, you can see how that works for them. We should be able to do that here more and more. But I think that's going to change, because I think that more and more people in the digital landscape that we're moving into is going to offer people more ways of accessing content, and people are going to be less inclined to want to subscribe to services to get that content, and they're going to look to alternative options. So at the SABC, for example, a big focus for me has been first to set up a dedicated sports channel for the SABC that would be free to air. Make sure that that channel is now available in an OTT digital space, and then make sure that it has content that is really good, that people want to watch. And by doing those things, you can start building an audience there that is really, really strong. And with that, you can start bringing sponsors to bring money in to be part of that audience, to be in that space, because they know that the audience is there, the content is great, and it's free. So, you know, and that is where we've got to do now. We need to start building much stronger propositions in the digital space as free-to-air broadcasters if we really want to take advantage of this next stage in the evolution of the media landscape.
Gary, let's now talk about the digital landscape that is opening up. There's a lot of disruption going on there. And now we are beginning to see even the global sport properties like the Premiership, the Bundesliga, also looking at models where they do from broadcasters directly to subscribers, or from property owners
Yes.
directly to subscribers. How do you think that will play out in Africa, the way it's going now? Because
Well, I think
purchasing
it's going to
power.
be. I think it's going to. Sorry, I think it's going to be a key factor going forward. I mean, a lot of people don't buy into that. They still think that the aggregation of a pay TV setup will still play a key role. I'm not entirely convinced about that at all, because I think that people really, at the end of the day, want to just get to watch what they want to watch, and they don't want to have to pay a subscription that covers a whole lot of things that they don't want to watch. And I think that more and more people buy into that. There's a lot more, there's billions more people that can afford $2 or $3 a month or $5 a month to watch the English Premier League than the people that can afford $500 or $200, even $200 or $150 a month to watch the English Premier League, if that's all they want to watch. So I think that direct to consumer move is going to happen for a lot of the key sports, and it's going to basically really change the face of the way people pay to access their content. And paying an aggregator to get everything, as it has been in the traditional pay TV model, I don't really believe that is going to work in the future. The only thing that's really stopping this happening now sooner is that there's still too much technological uncertainty. For example, if you are the English Premier League and you think, well, you're going to get 1 billion people streaming your games, do you have the servers? Do you have the bandwidth? Do you have the access on the ground to make sure that those 1 billion people that are paying you $5 a month to watch the English Premier League, will they be able to get a clean experience in watching these games? And so there's a lot of that process still happening. But once those issues get sorted out in the future, I think then it makes sense. I mean, Formula One have already moved into that space. Formula One, you can go to the Formula One app and you can basically sign up for what they call, I think it's F1 Pro or something, and it costs you about, I know from a South African point of view, it's about 800 Rand, 900 Rand a year. So we're looking at about, per year, at about, what's that? It's about $50 a year. And you can actually live stream every single Formula One race of the season, but not just the Formula One race, but the Formula 2, the Porsche Cup, all of that things. You get all the benefits of all the different camera angles and OTT elements that they bring into that broadcast. And it's a fantastic experience. And you don't need to actually be signed up, be a subscriber to a pay TV to do that. You just pay them that $50 a year or whatever it is that you want, and you're watching Formula One. And you're casting it to your big screen TV. So that's the people that I know do that. So the casting is in 4K. You're watching it in 4HD or 4K resolution, whatever you want, and you can get that. So Formula One is already breaking that mold. I think NBA has already moved into that with their locker room pass and things like that. They're starting to move into that space. So this is going to happen. It's just a matter of when now, and that really needs the key players like the EPLs and the Bundesligas and La Ligas and Serie A's and the like need to be assured that the technology will be stable enough to give those billion people or whatever it is that they're going to look to reach a good experience.
All right. You will agree with me that more of our sports on the continent of Africa needs to be on TV. And I think we need to push more of our sports. But it's not happening. How do you think we can fast track this?
Well, I think the fast tracking is going to become because people are going to be able to access this content in many different ways and platforms, so that they will be able to. This is as I said, the idea that you need to go to one place to find everything anymore is going to become less and less of the pattern. People are going to go and find things wherever it is that they need to go to find those things, and they'll have more choice. So it's going to be driven, the future going forward is going to be driven by the content that's going to be available. It's going to be a great period for content, and it's going to be driven for the audiences. So people will be able to find and pay for just what they need, when they need it, and how they need it. And so that the audiences are going to increase. We're going to see a massive uptick in actual audiences. Because if you think of the way that pay TV works at the moment, pay TV creates a huge barrier to entry by putting a significant price on that access point. So in other words, if you look at a Star Times or a Super Sport or DSTV or whatever like that, to get to that content, it's great, but you still got to, you know what I mean? There's, $150 or whatever it is, $50 even, but still, that is a cost. You got to get a satellite dish. You got to get a set-top box. You got to get all these things that you need to put in place. There's not everybody can do that, can either afford that. A lot more people can afford to spend $5 a month and just get a few things that they want, or $5 or $10 a month, just to get what they want, and get it. Go and find a Wi-Fi connection or whatever that they can work with to connect with and access that content. So I think that what's going to happen is it's going to mean that millions of more people will be able to access a lot more content going forward.
All right. Okay. I remember that when you started, when we started this conversation, you were saying something about the fact that Africans, we need to be attending some of this forum where fora that where they discuss the latest invention, and we will build or interact and network as far as sports broadcast business is concerned, something like Sportel. Are you also looking at its landscape, or Sportscape rather, is Sportscape looking at putting together, a regular conference where content providers, content creators also can also meet regularly, with all the ecosystem where we meet and discuss the future of the game, on the future of sports, or future of the business on the continent of Africa?
It's not something I've really looked at from a Sportscape's point of view, because there are a lot of people already doing that in many ways, and there are a lot of things. I just use Sportel as an example, as one of the premium things. But I've just come back from Kigali, where there was a very nice media conference where sport was discussed. I know that the next DISCOP they're putting sport on the agenda. So there's a lot of other conferences about sport business and various things like that. They are happening. So people are having these discussions. The way I'm looking at Sportscape, basically, Sportscape Media, is that what I'm looking to do is that once you go to those conferences and you hear the stories and you look at what the options are, is that you want to say, well, how do I move in that direction? And then then come and speak to me, come and speak to Sportscape Media and say, great, what do you need? How can we help you join the dots that you need joined up to make what your vision might be to achieve? Or how do I create a vision? You know what I mean? What is the strategy? I need a strategy. I need a network. So those are the kinds of things. So I'd look at what we're doing as something that follows on from those conferences, rather than looking at actually setting up those conferences themselves.
So what's next now? You just started Sportscape, so what we be looking out for?
Well, yeah, so I'm working on a couple of interesting projects, mainly around the OTT space, and looking at building platforms, because I think that what people want they're going to need to make that OTT space work is really good platforms. Is what I'm calling as kind of hubs. So you go to this place, whether it's on your phone or on your phone that's casted to your TV, or on your laptop or tablet or whatever, and you go to that space, and you can live stream and watch something live, or you can find other information while you're there. You want to find news, you want to find results, fixtures, you want to play games, you want to engage with other people that are like-minded people and things like that. So you want to create these really. So I'm working with a couple of companies that are looking at building that proposition in a very big way, and working with them to try and take that to the next level, because I think that is going to be very important to do. I think that is the way people are going to engage more and more with content, and I think this is particularly of value to free-to-airs, because this is something that people will need to kind of access without having to pay any money. Because they just want to get into the conversation. And the phrase that I thought about the other day, you know what I mean, is that what we want to do is kind of really be part of the conversations, drive that conversational experience around the the live event and the sports events. We want to kind of own that space. And I think that that is a great space to own for anybody looking to take that next step in their media development.
Wow. I must say, thank you very much for really honoring this invite to be on the show today, Gary Rathbone. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your presence on the show.
Thank you very much, Jide. Very nice to be here. And all the best to everybody.
Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. Yeah, that was Gary Rathbone, CEO, Sportscape. Yeah, veteran sport broadcaster. And we really had to talk about building sports broadcast business, especially with focus on the continent of Africa. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Next we're going to break, and when I come back next, I will sign off, but leave you with something that you should know about the upcoming FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Don't go away.
Fantastically finished.
Yes, welcome back. Of course, don't forget you can reach us via social media platforms, and you can keep engaging with us on Sport Exchange 24 on Twitter, Sport Exchange 24 on Facebook, and don't forget our YouTube channel, TV360 Nigeria. You can watch all the episodes all over again. And before I go on the show today, these are the do's and don'ts for the next FIFA World Cup in Qatar. That's Qatar 2022 is just a few days from now. And these are the things you need to know. You especially if you're traveling to be part of the football festival. Number one, attitudes towards dress in Qatar are relaxed, but visitors, men as well and women, are expected to show respect for local culture by avoiding excessively revealing clothing in public. That's one. You have to dress in decency, for you to, if you want to go to Qatar. And next one is, it is generally recommended for men and women to ensure their shoulders and knees are covered. That's dress-wise. And another one is that Qatari ladies will not shake hands with men, and men will not shake hands with women either. So as a gesture of respect, just hold your hand. Don't bother to shake a lady if you're a man, and if you're a lady, don't bother to shake a man there. And as in all Middle Eastern countries, showing overt affection and intimacy in public is frowned upon. No public display of affection in Qatar. Don't go there and do that. All right, another, visitors are expected to refrain from drinking in public places and inside the stadium, but fans are allowed to drink at the fan park before games and after games. Hotels continue to cater to guests by opening restaurants that are out of the public view. So you can go there to enjoy, but they must be out of the public view. Okay, smoking is prohibited in all public places, including museums, sports clubs, shopping malls, and restaurants. Violators can be subject to fines. So you need to know that too. Most hospitality outlets in Qatar include a service charge in the bill. However, a tip of 10 to 15% as a gesture of satisfaction is appreciated. It is also advisable to carry cash for tipping too. So if you want a tip, you need to do that. And public photography is not allowed, like religious, construction, or military sites. Don't do that. Likewise, do not take pictures of the locals unless you have their permission. And lastly, no same-sex parade in Qatar. That's it. That's just an information I feel like I should let you know on the show, because that's a tradition to prepare you for the biggest World Cup football fiesta. That's the FIFA World Cup. Thank you very much for joining me on this edition of the show. Till I come your way next time, Jide Olaniran is my name.